A choice right now, between fear and love. It's just a ride.
Out of the dark night of ignorance and into the shining light of truth.
Expounding reality.
A population of citizens capable of critical thinking.
We don't see things as they are, we see them as we are.
There's a level of reality where everything dissolves into an ocean of energy.
We empower our experience by insisting on our authenticity.
That's very profound. Very.
Expanding reality.
Welcome to Expanding Reality Podcast. I'm your host, Brandon Thomas. On this episode, guys, I got the pleasure to sit down with Taylor Ruotsala. She has a company called Never Stay Stagnant. She makes these incredible self-improvement journals that just guide you through negative self-talk, positive self-talk. She gives you examples on wonderful quotes from incredibly inspirational people. Now, I know what you're going to say, journaling. Tell me more, man, because this sounds absolutely incredible. Well, it is, and Taylor is going to tell you more about it. She's a wonderful young lady. She's an incredible entrepreneur, a wonderful inspiration for anybody wanting to venture out on their own or just even to do any kind of self-improvement on yourself, which is highly important, way more important than anybody thinks. So without further ado, Taylor Ruotsala, Never Stay Stagnant. Well, welcoming to the show, it is Taylor Ruotsala. How are you doing this evening, darling?
I'm doing wonderful. How are you?
Every day above ground's a great day. I always say it because I always mean it. Thank you so much for asking. I do appreciate that. So you have an incredible story. You've got a wonderful thing that you're doing right now. For the audience that doesn't know you, if you don't mind, just introduce yourself to the group out here.
Yeah, so I'm Taylor. I am in my late 20s. I went through everything that a 20-year-old was going through, where I decided I was going to have a quarter-life crisis and not know what I want to do with my life. So I started my own business. First, I was working at a corporate company for 8 years, absolutely loved it, worked my way up that, and then I just felt like I was hitting a wall. So I started my own company that helps with self-improvement. It's self-improvement journals that are targeted towards women. Men like them too, but they're targeted towards women to make self-improvement fun and enjoyable and not so woo-woo, like actually actionable steps that you can take to make your life better.
I love it. You've really taken the approach to a more participatory lifestyle, and I think that that's incredibly important. I think that that is the way that the universe actually operates. So I think that what you've done with your journals, and I've got one too, guys, they're not just for girls. They are wonderful. Here's mine right here, dear self. It's great. So thank you again, Taylor. These are wonderful.
Of course, I'm glad you like it.
I really do. I mean, because it brings things to the forefront that people don't normally pay attention to about themselves and this negative self-talk attitudes that they've got, and you're able in your book, in your journals, to point that out, as well as point out solutions on how to solve that. So it's a real step-by-step daily reminder, and of course, what is it, 16 to 21 days, something like that, and you form a habit. You've got plenty in there. You've got wonderful quotes. There's a really cool synchronicity rather, that happened with your journal the day that I got it, that I'll tell you about here in a little bit. But so I wanted to ask you first and foremost, what got you started with this? I know the corporate grind was getting to you there. You had your quarter-life crisis, which is interesting. I've only heard of a midlife crisis, so I think are they happening earlier now with the younger generation? Is that what happened?
Well, yeah, I think so, because like our generation, well, I grew up with always having internet and always like being able to see. Well, I guess like when I was in high school, social media came around, and I was always able to see what other people were doing and compare my life to other people. And then when I was in a corporate job, I loved what I was doing. Like I was going full force, wanted to learn everything, but then I just kept hitting a wall, and I was like, I don't know what to do to get myself to that next level. And I don't know, like, I know I need to work on myself and like to be my best self each day, but I don't have a mentor. I don't have all of these things. And what can I do to make me feel proud of who I am, rather than like looking at my friends who are just showing their highlight reel and perhaps it's not really how they are. And so I loved the 5-minute journal. Absolutely loved it. It's a similar journal where you just record your gratitude, what's going to make the day great, and then you record in the evening like how you could have made the day better and all of that stuff. But I have a little bit too much energy, and I'm like consistently inconsistent, and I was getting bored of the same thing every single day. So I was like, okay, I want a journal where I track my workouts, I track what I love about myself so I can get a better positive self-talk. I want to track how much water I drink and all of this different stuff. And so I just designed it and decided like I'll publish it. And I sat on it for a couple years or like a year. And then I decided like right as the pandemic happened to start marketing it, and people love it, and it's cool and it's fun. And it was really just for me at first. And now I'm able to share like the joy with other people. And it's just like, it's so cool.
It's fascinating. I mean, it's amazing. And what you've done and the introspection you have as a young lady, especially in your mid-20s. I wasn't like you in my mid-20s. I was doing all kinds of stuff I shouldn't have been doing. And I had no issue with it at all. I was perfectly happy with no direction at all. But you had a bit of, it sounds like anxiety wrapped up in the fact that you didn't have direction, or the direction that you had, the path that you were on was not one that satisfied you. And so the maturity, like I said, and introspection that you had, especially as a young woman, to be able to sit there and say negative self-talk is a big issue. I mean, most people aren't even aware of it. Like that, you understand that, right? That this is a very unique person 100%. That I'm talking to. Yeah. So how has your journals affected other people? What are some of the feedback that you've been getting?
Well, like more recently, I got this comment. Somebody reached out to me and said, I do the journal every day and I read it with my husband every night, and we talk together how we can make my like personal self better. And like that's amazing. That's incredible that I can help couples like work through personal development. So that was really awesome. And then also I had this one lady who it was the sweetest thing. She had cancer. And I write personal notes for each of them, and hers I had, it's right there.
Mine's right there.
And in the beginning, I was actually handwriting the entire thing, and personalizing. Like I would creep on my customers.
Yeah. Find out what their dog's name was and stuff.
Yeah. Which I can't do that as much, but I still creep on them. But I was handwriting each one, and I hand wrote one, like it was like 7 months ago, so it wasn't that long ago, but I hand wrote one like telling her I hope she has an amazing day, like she has a beautiful smile and all this. And she messaged me and was like, I'm going through cancer, and that put a smile on my face and like tears of joy. And I'm so excited about your journal. I already started, and I already feel like great about what I did for the day. And I was like, oh, just like.
You know, and I know that you know what you're doing is very powerful, but do you actually know how powerful what you're doing is? There's a thing called epigenetics, and that's basically that we are above our genetic code, and we're not predetermined to be any specific thing, health, all of that stuff. There's a great saying that it always happened in my family until it happened to me, and that's about transcending that generational challenges that you come across that a lot of people say, you know, because there's a lot of self-talk. Have you ever heard of a guy named Mel Schwartz? He's a psychologist. No. He wrote a book called The Possibility Principle. I just recently picked this up. He's actually going to come on the show pretty soon. It's just fresh in my mind. And a lot of the things that you're doing, I don't know if you're conscious of it or not, but you are affecting things on a quantum level that is way below the subconscious there. And you're getting people to point out what the way that they're thinking and what they're thinking about, which changes your physiology. I mean, the people who have a positive outlook on situations like cancer, like a bad breakup, like financial troubles, all of these things, it's a spiral either way. And you've chosen to remind people that it can be a spiral in the positive direction or in a direction that more serves you. So I think what you're doing, I don't want this to be lost on the audience here about how deep and why I'm having you on here, because what you're doing is affecting things on a subconscious level that affects everything else, because subconsciously that operates 90% of our day and we don't even think about it. But if you can start paying attention to your thoughts, start paying attention, like you said, to your self-talk. Another thing I want to point out about something that you said is the couple that you talked about that goes and sits in at night and journals. You know, you could think of an opposite type of an interaction with a couple where they, you know, are on social media or something like that, and they're talking shit about people. They're like, oh my God, can you believe Becky? I mean, look at how fat she looks. How could she post this? And then they both get in this echo chamber of negativity. And you've been able to transcend that, at least for that one couple. And so that's another reason I wanted to have you on here, is to share your message with the world here, to get people to get your journals, which I will link how to find this stuff in the show notes, guys. You know how this works. I will make sure that you can find her, no problem. But how sweet is that of these people to feed back to you like that?
I mean, yeah, it's incredible. And like, I didn't start it I didn't make the journal to do that. And as I began to market it and see the need that people, like what people need for it. And I also didn't start with the Dear Self. The one you have, I started with the Make Yourself Proud. And then somebody reached out to me and said, hey, I love the format. I absolutely love filling in prompts and it being already drawn for me. But can you make it about positive, like about self-talk? Because I struggle with how I talk to myself and I struggle with my mental health. And so I was like, yeah, like you want a different journal? I didn't think other people, like I didn't think of another type of journal like that until somebody reached out to me and I was like, I got you. And I like built it in a week. And then that one actually took off and it is a hard journal. People do reach out to me and say, this is the hardest journal that I've ever had to do, because it's the thought of like, you have to know how you're thinking to yourself. And that's hard to look at because you're like, wow, I'm evil sometimes to who I am. And it's not that. And then you read it and you're like, I was absolutely insane. Why am I thinking this? Like, this is who I really am. And so I think that is like, it's incredible to hear that from people of like, I didn't realize how much I was actually pushing myself down because of the thoughts that I was having. And like, that's cool that people can actually like grasp that and then try to move forward. The hard part is for people to actually like change from like continuous negative thoughts to like, let me change this negative thought to a positive and keep it a positive. And I think that's where like it comes from like internal, like I am trying to help other people see that, like how they can change that too.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And yes, this is the most challenging one. I've got it. I'm going through it. I'm not going to show you one of my entries, but I will show you guys a blank page. So if you're just listening to the audio version of this, go check her out on her Instagram, which again is linked in the show notes. But if you are watching the YouTube version of this, this is her journal. And the one that I have, because my wife took the other one, because we got two from you. So this is it here. And it lays out negative self-talk, positive self-talk, and then things that you want to as far as goal setting. So the goal setting is incredibly important. So tell us why you included goal setting in your journal here.
Well, I include that because that helps with like where you are going in your life. And it allows you to actually build a path for yourself or think of like where you want to see yourself in the future. And like that is so extremely important for growth. If you don't actually set any goals, you're not going to achieve anything. You're not going to become better. Like you're going to stay the same. And you have to write down those goals to help you like set the path and find the path to get there. And so that's why like if you're able to set it yourself rather than have a boss tell you, yes, I need you to hit these numbers by a certain time, or I need you to finish this by whatever. I think if you can do it yourself, it allows you to build that confidence and build that self-worth rather than like building it off somebody else's reality.
Absolutely, and I love your roadmap concept of it because I'm reminded of Alice in Wonderland with the Cheshire Cat. When she comes upon the Cheshire Cat, she's stumbling around this new world, he says, "Where are you going?" And she said, "I don't know." And he said, "Well, if you don't know where you're going, any road will take you there." And that's absolutely accurate. This is why the goal-setting implement of it, like you said, is it's creating a roadmap for you. This is your life. You only get so many spins around the sun. Live them the way that you want. And why wouldn't you want to set a clear roadmap for yourself? And it varies. varies, right? But at least you're taking control of your life instead of letting somebody else give you all the answers and tell you what you are and label you with these certain little definitions that they have about you. And then even like your parents, I mean, this is tricky. Even your folks do this stuff, right? So tell us a little bit about your programming from a young age and how that can be something that you have to break out of later, which is another reason that your journals are so helpful.
Yeah. So I mean, I grew up in a huge family. So I have 5 sisters. I'm the middle child. So like definitely have middle child syndrome, where I just really wanted to be myself, kind of be hidden sometimes, but just like hidden and still go with the flow. And so, I mean, from a young age, I always achieved like greatness. Humble.
No, you can say it's positive self-talk, people. Yeah. What I say with that is I'm humble, I'm not modest, okay? And that's fine. You can be humble and not modest. They're 2 different things, and I love your approach, so I apologize. Continue.
It's okay. So like in school, I was in AP. I was always like doing the best I could. I was the first one to go to college in my family. I graduated college. I was working full-time jobs. So like, I think from like a younger age, it was, I didn't have this, something like I wish I journaled from a young age, because growing up in an all-female house, like, yes, I grew up with negative self-talk, not from my mom or dad, like not from them, but I think it was because it wasn't trained or talked about of how we should talk about ourselves. And I think I never realized I was doing it until I began to journal. And that's why, like, I love journaling now, and I could talk about it forever, but I think from a younger age, we don't realize what we're getting into, like the situations we're getting into, until we're older and we look back on it and we're like, holy cow, like if I would have looked at that different or handled that different, like the way I handle a situation now would be so different. And yes, like people talk about it, trauma responses and all of that. But I think if I would have changed my self-talk from a young age, I would be in a completely different place. And I think self-confidence is the biggest thing for especially teenage girls growing up and getting to a place where like they can compete with a man the same age as them and be at the same playing field, because it really is just the confidence. Like that, like we're as brilliant, we're as ambitious, we learn the same things. Like if we had the confidence that men have, like I just think like that's why I would have rather journaled younger than when I started.
I love it, because you're absolutely right. I completely agree with you, because you do, and what your journals allow, and in even just any sort of journaling. Now I'm gonna say yours specifically, not just because you're sitting here, but because the template and the format is brilliant. It's simple. It's effective, and you can see results with it. So it allows you to be able to snuff out that little flame of a negative talk and realize that you're a warrior goddess, right? You are out and you get it, girl. I love that. And I completely agree with you. There's a lot of dudes that are out there in positions of, I'm going to say, either power or influence that have nothing on some of the wonderful young ladies like yourself. I mean, and it's the absolute truth. I completely believe in that. I believe in it so much. I developed a lisp just now. So I wanted to ask, so what would you tell your younger self if you had a time machine and you could go back, even just to 10-year-old little Taylor there, and you said, hey, Tay-Tay, here's some advice that I've got for you. I would say like, stop worrying about other people's opinions. I think that would be my biggest advice, because I think that's what always held me back from anything. Was I was always like, even like in high school, I was a cheerleader. I hated performing in front of people because like I hated the performance part, which is the entire thing, but I hated it because I was worried what other people were going to think of me if I messed up. But I was proud of myself for being there and doing it.
but I was still worried about other people. Or like in corporate setting, I never spoke up in meetings because I was like, what if I don't say the right thing? But it's like, no, who cares about other people's opinions? Just like say yours, and then you're gonna feel better and get better and say it again and say it differently, and you'll learn. But I think I just worried too much about what other people were thinking.
It's like you got to be a bit self-deprecating at times and really look at yourself introspectively and say, okay, well, I am worthy, you know. And little affirmations are great like that as well. You have little sticky notes that you put on your window and stuff like that. So, what are some of your go-to affirmations, if you've got any off the top of your head here?
I definitely tell myself every day that I like say it in the mirror every day. Like, I love the body I'm in. I love who I'm becoming, and I sometimes get like imposter syndrome. So I always say like, I am worthy and I am where I am because I did it, and I'm going to be successful. So I always remind myself that like that where I'm going is because of me and not because of something else.
Yep, I completely agree. That's fascinating. You're wonderful. Like I said, you're awesome. So growing up was pretty tricky, huh? So what's your heritage there? We've already talked about this, but for the audience,
I'm Finnish.
Finnish. Okay. Any Finnish jokes that you've got?
No.
Okay,
I was
that's
gonna
fair.
like try to think one off the top of my head, but like really don't. I wish I was more in tune with my heritage. Like, definitely, I'm actually more in tune with my mom's side, which is a kind of funny joke within our family. My great grandma, she just died a couple of years ago. She lived to 103.
Damn.
And so, yeah, it was the best thing. Like, I have a grandma still. I have my mom's a grandma. Like, there were 6 generations all at once. It's incredible.
All girls.
All girls. Yep. All girls. But we used to say that my great grandma was Indian. And then my uncle and so like we were really into our Indian, like Native American heritage, like very into it. We had Christmases where we got our Native American name, and like we were so into that. And then my uncle got his 23andMe back, and he wasn't Native American at all.
What was he? Just so, like from Jersey or something?
I think he was German, if I'm not mistaken. I can't, but there was like no percentage of the Native American that we were. And so I still say I'm Native American but it's like, I'm like 1/264th. So like I'm nothing. But that's, yeah.
We'll take it. That's fine.
Yeah. I still say it. I'm like, I don't care. His genes aren't the same as mine.
Right. Yeah. No, but Finnish is interesting. I know nothing about the Finnish culture, and I'm sorry to say that I'm an ignorant American that doesn't know too much about that culture specifically. I'd feel ridiculous because of it, but because you are part Finnish and you don't either, then I don't feel so bad. That's some negative self-talk I just gave myself, and I'm going to tell myself that I appreciate myself. Thank you, self. So I wanted to tell you a pretty cool synchronicity about your journals. Now, we had spoken on the phone, and when I like to do little pre-recording conversations, a lot of my guests know that. I'm old school in that way. I find it gives a little bit of familiarity. It lets us kind of loosen up a little bit, let you know I'm not a complete psychopath, and that's important too. So I had an interview with Neil Donald Walsh from the Conversations with God book series. Now, my listeners know this. You know this. You saw it. But the cool part about that is the day that I scheduled that interview was quite a while back. It was like a month out. You know, he's got a serious gatekeeper, and she's lovely. Donna, we love you. Thank you for your help on setting that up. And I ordered the journals from you right after we spoke. That night, actually, I hung up the phone with you, and I was like, and send them. Give me. And so the interview was set for like 4 p.m. This is going somewhere, I promise. Like 4 p.m. My wife leaves. These are about an hour, something like that. She had gotten home, in the mail that day, your journals came in. And she's so sweet. She didn't want the dogs to bark, so she just sat in her car for about 5 minutes until I wrapped this thing up. And then I was out, and I'm just glowing, right? It's Neil Donald Walsh. I mean, he's the reason I'm not atheist. He's the reason, he's one of the largest architects of my perception, as millions of people. And you know this. You're familiar with him. So it was a huge, huge honor and a big deal for me personally. So the wife comes in, or I go outside. I'm just on my front porch like, and I was just glowing. I was radiating this energy. And she hands me the package from your journals that had came in the exact same day. It said Never Stay Stagnant on it. And I was so pumped about it. I was like, oh my God. So we opened them immediately. I had the one she has on top. I had mine underneath, or the one that was to become mine later underneath. And I'm just glowing. I mean, this is 5 minutes after I'd talked to Neil Donald Walsh, right? So I was like, babe, check this out. And I took the one off top for no unconscious reason of my own, put this one on top, and I was like, check this out. And I opened immediately to that.
That's cool.
And it's a quote in your journal from Neil Donald Walsh. Now, out of all of the pages I could have turned, I could have opened the other journal, not this one.
Cool.
And I'm dead serious. And she was standing right there. She was like, no freaking way. I was like, yes, freaking way. And it blew my mind. So it's one of these things.
Oh my gosh.
That's pretty fun, right? I'm still blown away by it, honestly.
Yeah, I'm like, what?
I'm telling you, and I'm dead serious. I have no reason to make this up. I have no reason to lie. The actual story of how this happened is way cooler than any BS that I can make up, right? So, I mean, just flipped it open, bink, boom, Neil Donald Walsh. And I just spoken to this man 5 minutes ago. So I'm still nerding out on it, as you can see. So that's also the reason that this journal became my journal. I was like, well, clearly this one's meant for me. You can have the other one. Thank you. And you included those pens for her and that very sweet handwritten note for us. And I really appreciate this. Like, the personal touch that you put on this is what's so unique and so awesome, because you've got so many people that are now investing in you. And I saw you with a list of printing labels that were printed out, and you're just so happy. You're doing it. You know, it's not it's not, maybe someday when things work out that might or might not work out. You are the navigator of your life, and you're an incredible inspiration to people. And we gravitate toward each other. This is why I really wanted to have you on, and thank you so much for joining me on this. So so you've been to North Texas before?
Yes, I lived in North Texas when I worked. So my corporate job was Jamba Juice. And so when I graduated college, I relocated with them to their corporate office in Frisco. So
very good.
Loved it. Yeah.
That's over on the Dallas side of things. We don't really talk to them. We want them to just stay in their own yard, because we're on the more Fort Worth side of stuff. We're the real Texas people. Dallas, not Texas, but that's okay. They have cowboy hats, but no class and style. Anyway, Shots fired, Dallas people. Send your emails. I don't care. expandingrealitypodcast@gmail.com. Send them in. We'll talk about how far superior our city is than yours. So tell me about Jamba Juice and the experience that you had there at your corporate job, and what fueled you to say, you know what, this isn't for me.
Yeah, well, like I absolutely loved it. Loved Jamba Juice. I learned way more in my positions at Jamba than I did at college. Like 100% absolutely enjoyed it. But I was just like the type of employee that I always wanted to know more and learn more and do more. And I'd take on extra projects, do extra things just so I could like be the best and do the best and like just learn more and learn everything about the company. And like, I knew that I wanted to own my own company someday, 100%. Like I didn't know quite what it was, but I knew that I wanted to. So I was working there. It was like my second year in the office. I was managing 100 store openings a year. Like, it was incredible. I had a lot of fun, but I knew I couldn't work there anymore because all I knew was Jamba. And like, all I knew was how Jamba did business. And I needed to learn how to do business another way. Like, if I was going to run a business, if I was going to learn how to like grow a business, impact people, like I knew I needed something else. So that's when I decided, like, I also was hitting a wall where I was like, I want to grow more. And they're like, oh, you can't, we're not really growing. And I was like, I just want to, like, help me. And so I decided to leave, and I left and went actually into an incredible PR job where I worked with a ton of CEOs, CMOs, and like, I was just able to learn to talk to people and understand how they talked about their business and how like they talked about growth within their business and what they focused on. And that was insane. Like I was on national television. I was doing all these different like cool campaigns with different companies and people. Like it was cool. And then I was driving an hour to work every day and I was like, that's not for me. So that's when I left both corporate jobs, because I was like, I don't want to drive an hour, and I know like I don't want to sit in front of a computer forever, and I just want to grow and I want to own my own business. So
it's huge. You realized early on that it's that old saying that it's not that your goals are too high and you're missing them, it's that they're too low and you're hitting them. And a lot of people are comfortable with that, and that's fine, guys. We're not trying to tell you how to live your life here, but Taylor does offer you an alternative, starting with your self-talk and how you think about your own thoughts. It's very important to shine light on it. Most people are incredibly unconscious to even that idea of thinking about their thoughts. It's very important in especially monitoring what you process as well as how you think about things, and then that's just your next step into changing things. So talk about your leap of faith. When you said, okay, this is it, and you started off on your own, there's inevitably a leap of faith that must occur, and you took that leap. And so tell me about it.
well, like yes and no. So I like dipped my feet in the water a little bit when I left the PR job, because I told them like I can't drive this far and I also want to go start my own business. And I was like, I'm going to go start like a food business, because all I knew was food back then. And most of like my experience was food, and I absolutely enjoy QSRs, which is quick serve restaurants. I absolutely enjoy like running a team and all of that. But so I decided to leave and start working in a cafe in my hometown, which I knew I could help. Like I knew I could support them in their training and support them in their operations and help them grow. And I'd also get a little behind the scenes of a small business, because I worked in corporate and completely different than a small business. And so I worked in it for about 5 months. And I was like, oh, no, I don't want to do this. Like, this is not for me. But I still worked there because I absolutely enjoyed the environment. Like, I loved running a team. I loved the connection with people. I loved helping people grow. Like, that's what being a manager is. It's like you're helping them become better employees for you, but also for their future. It's their first job, like make them the best employees for their future. And so I enjoyed that. And then right as the pandemic hit, I was like, all right, I'm kind of bored. Still managing, still working 40 hours in this cafe, but I was like, I'm going to try digital marketing. And so I did a couple ads. I was doing well and I was selling my journals. And I just scaled it up. And then in December of 2020, I was like, I'm making more on this side hustle that like is actually impacting people than I am in my current job. And I also have a very supportive boyfriend that helps me and was just extremely encouraging, was like, just quit your job. Do it. You don't have any responsibilities. You don't have a house. You don't have kids. Like, do it. Just try it. And you fail, you go back and find a job. And so that was my leap of faith. I was like, all right, you're right. Like, I mean, like internally, I was telling myself it's going to fail. It's going to fail. Because like I wasn't working on my self-talk at that point. And I was like, I'm going to fail. Oh no, like I can't do this. And then I did it. And it's just been absolutely incredible. Like I did it and I was like, whoa, like it's working. Like, this is cool. This is exciting. Like I get to wake up every day and decide my own schedule. I get to do whatever I want and like impact people. And it's like, that was my leap of faith, was just like, okay, make the decision. January 1st, 2021, you're on your own.
I mean, and if you thought you had confidence before, you had no idea, because now you can tackle anything, right? Now that you've gotten over that.
Yeah.
It's huge. Yeah, and you're doing what you do.
That was like, yeah, it took me definitely like 3 months to decide to leave. And because I absolutely enjoyed my job, and like, I was like, oh, I don't know. But then I realized like my worth and like what I can bring was just like hitting a ceiling at that job. And like, if I can bring more to more people, that's exciting. And like, I want to make everyone else better. So it's super exciting that I can make that impact.
It's great. You and I are cut from the same cloth as far as we do things because we want to give people back to themselves. That's an interesting kind of realization that you come to when you make decisions for the career path or for the occupational path that you've chosen. So I'm incredibly proud of you. Not that you needed it, but I think that that's incredible. And I think that this conversation, especially for young people, for anybody, honestly, at any age in life, guys, you only get so many spins around the sun. Do what you love. I mean, why wouldn't you do that? Why? Because of fear? Get one of her journals. She's going to help you out with that. Don't worry about it. It's all good. What's the saying? Worrying's like a rocking chair. It gives you something to do, but it doesn't get you anywhere, right? So what's next for you?
Yeah, and if you worry, you have to like experience the thing twice. Like, as you worry about whatever you're doing, you're like experiencing whatever you've made up, and then as it happens, then you have to experience it again, but it's completely different. So just experience it the first time and make it the best time.
I love this. I love this. And what do they say about anxiety is because you're thinking about the future, depression's because you're thinking about the past, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mm. Deep stuff over here, Taylor. We're unraveling the mysteries of the universe, I think, right?
Yeah.
So I'd cut you off earlier, but my question was, what's next for you? What's next on your goals list? What's short term, and then give me some long term if you want to peek behind the curtain there.
Yeah, definitely. So short term, I'm going to create a gratitude journal. I know this self-talk is is definitely it does have gratitude in there, but I think one that might be a little more helpful is one that like people are so anxious and are so worried about everything that's happening around them. If they were just able to see the great that they have and what is so like what they have so much abundance of, then I think it would make their life a little bit easier and better, and maybe give them some more peace. So I'm going to create a cool gratitude journal. And then long term, I definitely although I hate public speaking, I decided that I want to become a public speaker, impacting people, so I can show them actionable things, not woo. I know a lot of public speakers, don't want to talk bad about them at all, because they actually do help people. And I know a lot of things are just repeated from other people, but I want to be able to talk to people on an actionable level. This is what you can do today. Don't just think oh, I'm going to be a millionaire and this is what I'm going to do. No, you want to become a millionaire. Let me help you in square one rather than square 20.
It's great. And you're right. Public speakers, a lot of them, and again, not downing any of them. And I completely agree with you, but I think that that's an honest observation of the marketplace of public speakers, because they've already achieved that, right? And yeah, some of them will say, okay, well, you start here and then you practice that for a little bit and then you can this, and then they start grandizing these ideas without actually giving you the step-by-steps, saying, look, you're going to doubt the hell out of yourself for a little bit, but you've got to really focus on those thoughts and get rid of them, snuff them out. And your practical approach is something I think that's incredibly great. And I think that that's going to make you incredibly successful, even more so than you already are. And I love the gratitude part of it. So why is gratitude so important? I've said it a ton on this show, but please, from your perspective, so they're hearing it from somebody other than me all the time.
It's because you're always the nature of human beings, we're always wanting more. And if we can actually see what we have in front of us, then we can build upon that rather than trying to I guess rather than trying to fill a cup with other people's opinions or other people's perspectives, you're already filling your own cup, and then you're able to pour out of it and overflow into other people's lives who may not actually have the ability to see the gratitude that they the things that they have around them. So I think it just allows you to be a more positive person if you're grateful.
I love it. It's beautiful. Beautiful. That'll be a clip for the show, by the way. That's the one. I felt it as you were saying it. I'm like, this is dope. That is some deep stuff. And Thank you very much for sharing that with us. So let's do a couple fun questions. You just want a couple fun ones?
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, good. Genie bottle washes itself up on shore in front of you there. You were walking on a pristine beach, and bam, it is made more pristine by the appearance of this genie bottle. Now, the rules are 3 wishes. You cannot wish for more wishes. That is breaking the rules.
Okay. And I tell you my wishes?
Yeah, what do you want? Anything you want.
Okay. I wish, I like this one. Good things happen to good people and bad things happen to bad people. Or no, let me change that. Good things happen to good people and good things happen for bad people to make them better people.
I love that. Yeah, don't wish them bad, wish them
Okay.
consciousness, right? Yeah, no, it's good. It's good. That's perfect.
Second wish, I wish people could see them for themselves the way I see them. And I think that like is a lot of what people, women and specifically lack, is that we see ourselves so differently, the negative self-talk. But like if people could see the way I see them, like I think the world would be a better place because I see people as incredible. And then 3, I wish to live forever.
Really?
I think, quite honestly, I haven't aged since age 22. Like, I haven't had a birthday since then. So I'm like, I'm always 22.
You're one of those, right? I'm 22 again for the 30th year in a row. I know people who do that for their wives and stuff. It's like, Becky, you're 45.
People ask me my
okay?
age. Yeah. People ask me my age and I'm like, 22. And they're like, no, really. And I'm like, I don't know my real age. Like,
do you really not?
I do, but like, I like, like I have to think about it. I have to be like, am I 28, 27? Like, how old am I?
Yeah, there might be something to that, though. I mean,
I would like to live forever.
You've got kind of an anti-aging thing. Like we said, epigenetically, you might be affecting yourselves on a cellular level, and you could just say 22 forever. You know, you'll be, Betty White's age, just like 22 and it up. Yeah. Okay, well, that's good.
Yeah,
the
she's
live
incredible.
The live forever one is interesting. So what do you then let me ask you this. You've got altruistic reasons for this, and I would say out of anybody out of a lot of people that I've talked to, out of anybody who I'd say, yeah, you should probably hang out for a lot longer than life expectancy because you've got a lot to offer here and you've got a lot of wonderful things and you've got a massive impact on the planet already and you're just getting started, darling. You are just getting started. And so the live for everyone, though, has always puzzled me. So what do you have, a fear of death, or do you just have a love of life?
A love of life. I don't think I fear death because I try to live each day I'm proud of each day I live. And if I continue to do that when I die, I'm gonna be proud of my life. And so I don't have that fear of death. I think I just like really enjoy the earth and like life as it is, and I just want to like keep growing and like keep seeing more, and I think there's endless amounts to see here, and so living forever would allow me to see that.
Interesting. Okay. Well, then let me ask you this without getting into a whole religious thing. I'm just curious. What do you think happens after we die?
I think that we may go into another life, perhaps. I don't know. I think there is an afterlife after this. There is a way that our spirit lives on, whether that's in heaven, whether that's in another person here. But I think there is a way that like who we are lives on in the future.
Okay. I'm just curious because I contemplate this a lot. I've actually talked to a lot of people about this. I think of that quite a bit because it's that great mystery, right? That great beyond. And it's just interesting kind of to hear different observations on that or opinions on that. Okay. Another fun question here. Superpowers. You get 2. Superpowers. What do you want? Anything you want.
Fly. I fly in my dreams so much. And like, I would love to fly. Absolutely. Like, I think I know how to fly because I fly so much in my dreams, but
you're so practiced at it in that state. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like half your life, right?
Yeah, exactly. So flying, what else? Two, you said? Um, I think the second one, because I'm not as great at it, would be able to remember everything. So like remembering knowledge and remembering, like I'm terrible at movie quotes. Absolutely terrible. Could not tell you if I watched a movie because I can't remember if I've seen it or like what the plot was. So and some knowledge, like I wish I could just hold on to everything. So
What
remembrance.
if, and I'll just ask this for this reason, because then if you think about it, then you would remember everything, right? The bad and the good. Not even, so the things that, yes, you grew and learned from, and I think your mind's kind of supposed to forget that kind of stuff so that you can move on. But what if you were to remember only the amazing things that you wanted to remember, or you had a selective photographic memory to where you can only remember the stuff that you really, really want to, and then forget about the dumb stuff, the lame things.
Yeah.
Like that horrible video that your
cool.
buddy shared you because he didn't know you were into that, kind of thing. You're just like,
Yeah.
I wish I could forget I ever saw that.
But I think like if you also remember the negative, like if you have this like confidence and like knowledge of yourself, of like who you are yourself, then remembering the negative things isn't actually going to be that terrible because, and if you're positive, you have to have that positive outlook, because if you remember the negative things, like you can look at it and be like, oh, I will never do that again. But like, I learned. That's cool. So
that's an honest answer, and that's a great way to look at it. I completely agree. I was just asking you for personally, I was just curious about your answer. So, okay, then you can have dinner. Sit down for an evening meal here, or lunch, whatever you prefer, with 3 people, alive, dead, exist, non-exist, fake, all that. Is this question giving you anxiety already? Are you ready to go?
Like an interview.
You know it. Oh, we're just having fun, calibrating. We're having some fun with some questions. So
I know, I'm kidding.
so three of them, right? And anybody you want, just go for it.
All right. Let's see.
No wrong answers, by the way. It's your choice.
I know. No wrong answers, but I have to like 3 people. That's a good amount of people. Let's think. I think maybe. I think Thomas Edison, because that would be fun to understand how he thought. Because if he created, some incredible math equations, like some incredible ideas, I'd love to understand how he came to those ideas.
He stole a bunch of it from Tesla, but go ahead. Okay,
Yeah.
Edison's a good one.
Yeah, it's true. Okay, so
he's a great businessman.
have...
As a business owner, I can agree with you that he'll be like, here's how you screw over the guy that's actually smart.
Yeah. Who else? I would love to sit down with Simon Sinek because I think he's brilliant and has a lot to offer, and I'm always blown away by thought leaders because like they're always, because obviously I strive to be one someday, and it's incredible how they're always able to give such impact with what they say, and it like comes off so easily for them. And so I'd love to just like sit down and talk to him. So and then third, I would say my great grandma, because I don't think I sat down and talked to her enough, and she was an incredible lady that had a lot of impact on me, and I think I missed out on having real honest conversations with her.
Wow, that's a great answer.
So.
But you're going to run into the inevitable challenge that she's going to start making out with Edison, and then they're going to shag ass, and you and Simon are just stuck there, and then that's it.
She was was a feisty lady. We once found a bunch of ones in her purse, and I was like, we called her Granny. Granny, where'd you find these? Why do you have so many ones? And she was like, I just went to the strip club. And I was like, what? You're 98. Like, what are you doing?
Fantastic. She's like, oh, Thunder Down Under's coming this weekend. I'm going to go see that.
Yeah. I think she was
funny.
kidding, but like.
I did not know that about your grandma, but I just could see Edison probably being sweet on her. So there you go. I mean, he stole everything else. Why wouldn't he steal your grandma too, right?
Yeah, true.
Great answers. I like that. Okay, so then another one that I'd like to ask, that you can get as deep or as shallow with this as you'd like, but if there was one thing about the world that you could change, what would it be?
Hmm. Um, I think like Idiocracy.
The movie? No, that's a great movie. We don't want to delete that.
Yeah.
I still want that in life.
I've actually never seen it.
Really? Oh, you would love it. It's right on par with
Maybe
your
I
answer.
have actually.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, right? Yeah. You're like, I can't quote it. I've probably seen it a dozen times. Your boyfriend's like, we just saw that last night.
He's gonna listen to this and be like, "We've watched it together."
Yeah, we own it.
did?
It's right there. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think that's what's the trouble with like the world that's happening, is that we don't have enough smart people, or enough people getting smarter or working to be smarter or to be better, which is why like I love what I do. And I think that's where we are hitting all these roadblocks in society, is because there's people who are just staying stagnant, like staying in the past and following like what generations did after generation. But we actually have to like grow, because as a society, as a world, we're growing, and like as a world we're becoming smarter, but we can't have our citizens stay where they are. So
that's the reason of the name of your company. I love that. I think it's a brilliant name. And actually, that's the reason I clicked on it. I was like, hang on here. And then I was like, synchronicities, let's see where this goes. And that's how we met. So we'll probably wrap it up here, darling. Were there any final thoughts or anything that you had for the folks out here?
No, I think just whether or not they do find the journal attractive or something that they can put into their life, like I think it's just find what makes you be better than you were yesterday. And that's the entire, like, whether you want to journal, whether you want to follow me or not, like that's just my goal in life, is for people to actually like challenge themselves to be better than they were the day before.
Amazing. You're a wonderful young lady. I mean, and you're an incredible young woman. You're doing some incredible work, and I just can't wait to see what you do next. I'm looking forward to. Let me know when you get your gratitude one done, because I definitely want that in my life. I'm very gratitude minded, and I always, like I said on the show. Oh, thank you. I will pay for one because we want to support you. And then, of course, I will be linking in the bottom of the show notes. Is your Instagram the best way that they can find you?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, then
Never
we'll just
Stay Stagnant.
We'll link that up, and Never Stay Stagnant. How great of a name is that? I love that. Always keep moving, right? Go forward. Going straight won't get you anywhere. Okay. Well, Taylor, thank you so much for your time. This was an absolute delight.
Of course,
You're wonderful.
you.
All right. Well, we look forward to following your story here, and we will talk to you soon.
Okay. Thank you.
Huge thanks to Taylor Ruotsala for spending some time with us today and telling us about her journey and her journaling journey. Thanks again. You guys check out Never Stay Stagnant. It is linked down in the show notes. Keep up with her. She is wonderful. I'm really looking forward to that gratitude one, which is highly important. You listeners know how much I value that concept. So as far as this show goes, guys, you can find us at expandingrealitypodcast.com. That is where the links to all of the ways to find our socials is. It is going to be Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all that good stuff. You know where that's at. Also, YouTube. This video will be up on YouTube, so go check that out. Link is also on expandingrealitypodcast.com, and our Patreon is there as well. You guys know how Patreon works. If you find the show valuable, please contribute as little or as much, no real cap on as much, as you would like. It helps out, and we're always grateful to that. I will put that down in the grateful journal whenever she sends it to me. Now, I do want to leave you guys with not only our pick up a piece of litter, be nice to somebody else, buy somebody a meal, do something nice for somebody else. Get out of that left-hand lane, of course, goes without saying. But if I need to say it, there you go. Get out of the left-hand lane. I want to leave you guys with the quote in her journal that the story that I told about flipping the page open, having just interviewed Neil Donald Walsch. And here it goes. Do not discourage yourself with what you haven't done. Encourage yourself with what you will do. Thank you guys so much for listening. Y'all be good to each other.